Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment here, live from Nashville, Tennessee. Once again, that is right, I moved out of my mama's house. I am once again downtown, but this time I am not in a college dorm. I'm in my own place. Oh, and I'm not sure how the sound quality is for this. I hope it's good. I'm going to listen to it right now. It sounds pretty good to me because these are 10-foot ceilings and my voice is projecting. Like it sounds like I'm in like an audience hall. It sounds like I'm in a theater. It doesn't sound great, but from what I just heard, it sounds pretty good on the street. So, good. So with that said, we are live for Titan Up Thursdays, and the reason I missed last Thursday, you didn't get more than one video last week, was because I was moving, and moving was absolute hell. It is hell on earth. But I am live now, and we're ready to do this thing. Let us talk Tennessee Titans today on Titan Up Thursdays. We have some headlines today. Okay, so we need to talk about these headlines today. And the biggest headline today, Tom Brady, rumored to be interested in the Tennessee Titans, and not only interested in the Tennessee Titans, but having them number one on his priority list. First of all, if you've been watching this channel, I've been on this for a year. 1 year ago on this channel, I went through potential quarterback options for the Tennessee Titans in 2020 because I feared this day would come. You know, I feared that my boy, he's still my boy, I'm sorry. I feared that my boy Marcus Mariota might let me down and we would have to go down this road, a road in which we would have to look for the next quarterback. This is what I feared. And in that video, I believe the first man I talked about was Tom Brady. If he wasn't the first one, he was the main one. He was in the thumbnail of that video. I'll probably post in the link of the description box when I'm done with this. And not only did I talk about Tom Brady, I talked about Cam Newton, I talked about Matthew Stafford, I talked about Dak Prescott, I talked about Jameis Winston, I talked about the exact same names as we're talking about now, except for Ryan Tannehill. I briefly just mentioned he could be a transitional option. I had no idea how strong he was going to perform this year. Tom Brady is interested in the Titans. It's a headline, and it's the first headline today, and I'm going to save my main analysis in a moment because we're going to go through the list of potential free agent quarterback options, and I'll tell you whether or not I'm on board for it. I'll give you what I would do and what I think we'll do. I'll give you what I think we should do and my prediction of what we will do. But I'm interested. There's mutual interest, at least between me and Tom Brady and the Tennessee Titans. So the next headline, we have a couple of extensions, but not nearly the extensions we're looking for. I mean, we'll take them. Wide receiver Cameron Batson and tight end Anthony Firkser have re-signed one-year extensions for Firkser and Batson. I do not have the numbers for these contracts. I assume less than $2 million each, around $1 million each, and that is fine with me. You know, Cameron Batson did a great job whenever he was on the field this season. It is interesting, though, because, you know, with Cleve Raymond, especially after the big catch he had in the playoffs, will there still be room for Batson? Sure. Probably not room for Jennings as well when we get into the regular season. But, you know, for preseason, yeah, you keep Batson, you keep Jennings, you let them battle it out. You throw a little Cleve Raymond in there, and you see what happens. So, not really much to discuss there. But Anthony Firkser, you know, this is actually a little significant. This again moves us forward and closer to Delanie Walker being cut. Okay, with Anthony Firkser being resigned for, I assume, a very, team-friendly deal, no more than $3 million. Even $3 million is a stretch. I don't want to talk about the boys' money, but I doubt he's getting paid more than $3 million. If it is, just barely over $3 million. This inches us closer to that Delanie Walker cut. You know, now you're able to feel and start to see that Delanie Walker will likely be cut. You know, with Ferguson coming back, Michael Pruitt is also an upcoming free agent. But if they were really interested in keeping Delanie Walker around, I think they would have waited on this. I think that's just a little bit of an indication here. I'm not saying it's, you know, it's a foregone conclusion. That's just, if anything if there is to take away from any of these extensions, that's one thing to take away. This inches us a little closer. We're not there yet, but I think it inches us a little bit closer. Let me turn down the brightness on this. I think I'm a little bit too bright on that. And then we'll continue. And then the final headline. So Ryan Tannehill, okay, so he switched agents, but he's still considered likely to return to the Titans. Now, why he switched agents, I don't know. Now, this is something that we can, you know, speculate on a little bit. Negotiations were not going well. The only reason Ryan Tannehill would change agents this time of year is because negotiations were not going well. Either his agent was not getting enough from the Tennessee Titans, or his agent was asking too much from the Tennessee Titans. Either Ryan Tannehill feels that, you know what, I want more money than what you're negotiating for me right now. I don't like the plan forward in terms of what we're asking. I'm getting an agent that's going to request more, or I think you're being too aggressive. I want to re-sign with this team. You don't understand that. I'm getting rid of you. I'll get an agent who will more likely appeal to my interests. I think it's either A or B. And it could be a combination of A, him wanting more money, but him also saying, you know what, I want more money, but not from the Titans. Maybe I just want more in the open market. So maybe it's like a little bit of A, and even a little bit of a new option to where he really does want to move on, and I doubt that. Everything we're hearing does not indicate that. But maybe he just wants to go out in the new market with a new agent that's going to request a crap ton of money. I mean, maybe that's the case, but I think we're more likely looking at either his agent was asking too much from the Titans or too little. And I'll let you pick which one. Personally, I'm 50-50. I have no idea what's going on right now. If I had to guess, I would say his agent was probably not getting enough. I really feel like the only reason he would get rid of his agent is he would say, I don't like that we're talking 24, 25 million. We should be talking 30 plus million. Let me get me an agent and a representative and representation that's going to give me the 30 plus million that I want. So to me, if you ask me, if you want me to pick one, that's the one I'm going to pick. And a lot of people won't like to hear that, but that's the one I have to pick. So with that said, let us move on to quarterbacks. So I have prepared a list of quarterbacks, free agents, and trade targets. Okay? Quarterbacks that we can pursue in this upcoming free agency. And I've left off some names here. I've included all the relevant names here. You will not see Marcus Mariota here. Because although he's my boy, and he could be had for half price compared to a lot of these quarterbacks. Hell, probably all of them. It's just not going to happen. Okay? It's just not. I've taken away some of the lower tier names who are not, we're not going to go down the road of going cheap and going lame. We're not getting Andy Dalton. No way, bro. That's not happening. We're not getting Taysom Hill. No, we're either getting a solidified starter in this league or we're re-signing Ryan Tannehill. We're not going down the Andy Dalton, Ryan Fitzpatrick road. That's not happening. We're not considering those clowns. Okay, we're talking real legitimate options. So let's talk about the headlining man, Tom Brady, who will be 43 years old heading into next season, and this is what scares people away. This is a scary thing. I grant that. I understand that. Believe you me. But can you people tell me something? I just want to hear something from you people. Whether you're in the chat or you're watching this after and commenting. Why did the 2015 Denver Broncos win the Super Bowl in this modern era? Why did that happen? How did that happen? I want to hear that. I need someone to explain that to me. Now, a lot of people are going to say that it was because they had an all-world defense, one of the best defenses the NFL has seen. And you're mostly right, but you're not 100% right. Because I can recall plenty of defenses in this modern NFL era that haven't even gone to the Super Bowl, let alone win it. The Seahawks did it, the Broncos did it, and then early 2000, the Ravens did it, the Steelers did it, but they all had something in common. Except for the 2000 Ravens, that's a different story. They had that leader at quarterback. The Chicago Bears last year had a great defense. Oh, Khalil Mack was coming off the edge. He was doing his thing. Woo! The defense they had in Chicago last year, why didn't they make it? Trubisky wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough. But wait a minute, Peyton Manning stunk in 2015. What are you talking about? Yeah, you're right. His play on the field wasn't good enough. It was not good enough at all. But he still provided the leadership necessary to still change that locker room and that franchise. Super Bowl leadership, competitiveness, and pedigree. You cannot sleep on that. There is a reason why, despite that Broncos defense being as great as it was, that next year it was still great. It wasn't as great as it was that year, but it was still great. There's a reason why they went like 8-8. Whatever record they won, I'm pretty sure it was 8-8 with Trevor Siemian. After being 12-4, there's a reason they went 8-8. Peyton Manning left the building. Even a bad Peyton Manning, it's a championship pedigree that he brought to that team. Showing up every day to practice, showing up early, leaving late, working with the receivers, helping the receivers, teaching the receivers, helping the offensive line, elevating everyone. It's like adding one of the best coaches in the league. That's the equivalency here. Forget about on the field, which, by the way, is not bad right now with Brady. It's not bad. But you're also adding one of the best NFL minds to your team. You're adding that to your team. That is a very valuable thing. John Elway was still very productive late in his career. And he won his Super Bowls at the end of his career. Because of the championship pedigree, at that point, he was still able to provide. There is a difference there. There's a significant impact that is brought by a championship pedigree. This is the GOAT. This is the GOAT. This is Tom Brady. Tom Brady would come to this franchise, and only for 2-3 years max, and I would bet 2. But for those 2 years, a championship pedigree and expectation would be thrust upon this franchise. That's valuable. That is very valuable. Now let's talk about the play on the field. It wasn't bad. 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and let me tell you, those Patriot wide receivers outside of Julian Edelman, I'm not sure one of them is going to be in the league in 5 years. N'Keal Harry has a long way to go. Former first round pick of last year, long way to go. That clown Jacoby Myers stinks. That's a clown. Matt LaCotte, forget about it. You might as well pick out a random dude in Nashville, Tennessee, tell him to run routes. He might as well be Matt LaCotte. Who is that? Benjamin Watson, the old decaying corpse of Benjamin Watson, running around there at tight end. Are you kidding me? You come in here, you throw to A.J. Brown. You throw to Corey Davis. Oh, a lot of y'all think Corey Davis isn't that good, huh? Oh, let's get in with Mr. Brady. Let's get him with Mr. Brady. Now, we're going to have to get a receiving back, a real receiving back in here. But now Brady can just hand that ball off. When has Brady ever been able to just hand that ball off? When has he ever been able to just hand that ball off to a big, bruising, running back? If we bring him back, and we'd have to in this scenario. Have to get a receiving back with him. But 2 years of a championship pedigree, and we'd have a shot. I mean, we had a shot already, but we'd have a real shot. And someone in the chat just said, hey, he threw for 60% and 6 yards a throw. Did you watch the games? What was he doing? What was Tom Brady doing? Did you watch the game? Was he just missing wide receivers? No. Went to the ground. He would sit back, receiver ain't running the wrong route, to the ground, throwing out of bounds. I'm not going to throw interceptions. Forget about that. I'm trying to give this defense our best opportunity to win. Best opportunity to win. I'm throwing it out of bounds. I'm throwing it to the ground. He was not inaccurate. I don't want to hear that. Now, he's not as accurate as he once was. I would never say that. But he's still able to hit some nice throws. I am into this discussion. Now, should we do it over Ryan Tannehill? I'll get back to that in a moment. Now let's move on down the list. We have Dak Prescott, who will not hit the market. But I just let him here. I put him here just in case he does. If he does, he would require at least, if he actually hits the market, at least $32 million. I think I wrote 30, but at least 32. And probably you're talking 35, 36 million. He's going to want to set the market, and someone will likely pay him that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, maybe the Miami Dolphins if they're not in love with Tua Tagovailoa already, or someone. Okay, that would likely be the case. I would get involved, but I probably would ultimately pass on that. So I'm good on Dak Prescott for that price. I'll let someone else pay that. Drew Brees. Younger than Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady did not look bad in the playoff game against us. Drew Brees looked bad in his playoff game. He was injured last year. There's more reason to believe, I think, that Drew Brees might be near the end of his rope than Brady, to be honest with you. But, Brady's just pushing. 43 next season. Jesus, we're pushing things here. So who knows? Let's say it's a toss-up, right? I guess that's fair. So if it's really a toss-up between Brees and Brady, I think Brees can demand more on the market because he's 2 years younger. And I think Brady would take a little less anyway because that's his move. Even moving to a new team, I think that'd still kind of be his move. I don't expect him to take too much less, like not 17, 18 million anymore. But he could take 24, 25. I have him listed at 27. But I can see him even going as low as 24, 25. Brees, I could also do the same, so add some wiggle room to the numbers I left down there. The only reason I win is, again, Brady has the 6 rings. And dude, that's a lot. Brees has 1. And he hasn't even been to another Super Bowl since that. He does add something. He does. I don't want to completely disrespect Drew Brees. I think he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks of all time, borderline top 5. But it's not proven for me to be worth it. I'd rather stick with a young option than Brees. I think there's a good possibility that Brady can lead you to a championship. He has 6, bro. And I saw Peyton Manning do the same thing, although only had 1 at the time. So I guess you could say he had just as much as Brees. But Manning changes a franchise. Brees really helps a franchise. I'm not sure if he transforms it. Not quite sure of that. I love Brees. I'm just not sure that at this stage of his career, I would pass on Drew Brees for that number. Next on the list, Ryan Tannehill. We talked about him last week a little bit, $24 to $32 million. We like Ryan Tannehill. We love what he did last season. He came in here, he was efficient as all hell. He was doing his thing. He was doing it well. The pass rating was out of this world. Yards per attempt were out of this world. Touchdown interception ratio was great. 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. We know what we have in Tannehill. I'd be damn fine bringing back Ryan Tannehill. Phillip Rivers. You really would have intrigued me last year. This year, nah. You would have to stick with Tannehill before you went down Rivers. And I think people are sleeping on Phillip Rivers, for the record. I don't think Rivers had a bad year because he's getting older. I just think he had a bad year because that's what he does. Look at Phillip Rivers' career. Every 3-4 years, he has a bad season. It hits like every single 3-4 years. Like clockwork. Every 3 years, bad season, throws for 20 interceptions. It happens every 3-4 years. This was always going to happen. This is Phillip Rivers' move. If Phillip Rivers goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or something, he's going to throw the rock. He's still going to do well. I would actually be interested in Phillip Rivers. But you might as well stick with Tannehill before you go Rivers because although it would not shock me at all if Rivers has a better season next year than Tannehill, the more years of Tannehill would be better than the more years of Rivers at this point. So, and Rivers, that's not guarantee you win nothing. Okay, because he's had talent in LA/San Diego, and he still ain't won. And I like Phillip Rivers. I'm kind of a Phillip Rivers apologist. But, dude, you had LaDainian Tomlinson. You had Antonio Gates. You had Vincent Jackson in his prime. You had Darren Sproles. You had Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram. You had Eric Weddle. You had players in San Diego, LA, and you had some bad coaches. Like North Turner's not a very good coach. Anthony Lynn is all right, but you should have at least been to a Super Bowl, and you didn't. So don't even go down that Rivers road. He ain't worth it. He ain't worth it. I'm a Phillip Rivers apologist. I do like him, but he's not guaranteeing you anything. The only reason I'm considering Brady. He doesn't guarantee you anything, but he comes a hell of a lot closer than Phillip Rivers. So don't even go down Rivers Road if you're not going to go down the Brady Road. Don't even go down that road. We move on to Jameis Winston. No. Although Jameis Winston has recently gotten his LASIK surgery, so no more squinting on the football field, he is going to likely be the same quarterback. I'll let people, there's a chance maybe this fixes everything. I won't be surprised. He'd be like, oh, wait a minute. I can see. And then all of a sudden he's a Pro Bowl quarterback. But just pass on that. The only way I would do this, it'd be a 1-year prove a deal. But why would you move on from Tannehill for 1 year with Jameis Winston? That's nonsensical. Don't do that. It'd be a headache. Don't do that. Teddy Bridgewater. No. And this is a definitive, absolute no to me, and I'm fighting people on this. Okay, I'm ready to fight people on this. You people want Teddy Bridgewater and you kick Marcus Mariota out the door? Are you out of your mind? If Marcus Mariota was on New Orleans, and he might be, okay, we're going to find out. If Marcus Mariota was on New Orleans, and he could throw to Alvin Kamara, and Michael Thomas, and Jared Cook, and have that offensive line, and Sean Payton, and you want Teddy Bridgewater? Get out of here. Mariota over Bridgewater all day, every day. Get out of here with that nonsense. Teddy Bridgewater was an absolute nothing more than a game manager in Minnesota. Not even a good game manager. Because Case Keenum went right after him and put a better stats than him, won more games than him the minute Teddy Bridgewater got injured, and they had no problem kicking him out of the door. Teddy Bridgewater, he was lucky to even throw for 15 touchdowns in a given season. He went to New Orleans where you will succeed. If Mariota was in New Orleans, he would do better. I don't want to hear about no Teddy Bridgewater. That is a game manager. You thought Mariota was you want to see some Teddy Bridgewater? He played for the New York Jets for a second and a half. The Jets have been desperate for a quarterback that could save their franchise forever. This guy couldn't even win the starting job. I don't want to hear nothing about no Teddy Bridgewater. No. You let someone else pay, and no one wants to pay, right? He wants 20, 30 million. He's not getting it. He's getting 16, he's getting 17. Maybe some clown pays him 1 year, 2 years, $20 million a year. But we've been down the Bridgewater road. He's not good. And after seeing what Case Keenum did, you can't do this. Don't be that stupid. Case Keenum did better than him. Please, come on, people. I don't want to hear about Teddy Bridgewater. So, moving on from that, we move on to the next option, and those are trade targets. Matthew Stafford. People, let's rewind the clock a little bit. Ryan Tannehill did great for this football team after being mediocre in Miami. Because Miami is not a good franchise. Because Miami has not been a good franchise since Dan Marino. Right? We all agree on this. So he came in here and he finally had a running game combined with a decent defense, combined with, by the end of the year, a good offensive line, and he did well. Now, before this year, forget about this year, okay? Just for a moment. Before this year, was there even 1 year, maybe one? I'd have to look at the stats, but for the most part, for most years, who was the better quarterback in this league? And would you even have blinked to think about it? Would you even have stopped to think about it? Matthew Stafford or Ryan Tannehill? And be honest with yourself now, boy. Be honest. It's Matthew Stafford. So wait a minute. We saw Ryan Tannehill go from being a mediocre, average at best, quarterback in Miami, a bad franchise, never had a run game, never had a good defense, never had a really good offensive line, to being great in Tennessee. What would Matthew Stafford do? Now, Stafford has had some wide receivers, including one Hall of Fame wide receiver, Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate, and lately Kenny Golladay. We have not had that wide receiving talent, but he has never had a run game, and he only had 1 year of having a top 10 defense, one and one alone. Can you imagine Matthew Stafford in more of a balanced offense? Uh-oh. Ding, 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 ding. Come on down. We have a winner. I want Matthew Stafford. Point blank, period. And the Lions are intrigued by Tua Tagovailoa. This could happen. Now, this is fanfic. Because I don't think it will. And I don't think John Robinson is even really considering this. But let me just throw it out there to the world. Stafford with Derrick Henry, with A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. All of a sudden, Corey Davis going to look like Golden Tate. All of a sudden, A.J. Brown going to look like a little mini Calvin Johnson. It's going to look all right. I'm telling you. And again, be honest, before this year, would you even have blinked if you were asked Matthew Stafford or Ryan Tannehill? You would have said Stafford. Forget about it. Why are you asking me that? What kind of question is that? The hell out of my face. Why are we asking that question now? It was a great year. Why? Because he was here. Because Tannehill was here. Let's see Stafford here. Let's see Stafford with an offensive line. Let's see Stafford with a running game with Derrick Henry. Now, he hasn't proven he can win diddly squat. Okay? Hasn't proven nothing that he can win diddly squat. Neither could Tannehill. And he looked pretty good here. Next option. Cam Newton. I'm intrigued, but it's health. Is he healthy? Can he throw? That was the problem with Cam Newton this past season, and we still don't have the answer to that question. If Cam Newton is healthy, him or Tannehill? And Cam Newton is only worth $21 million next year. So, All of a sudden, you're talking about Cam Newton, only 21 million, only 1 year. You can keep Derrick Henry. You can keep Jack Conklin. Oh, you want to run the ball? We can run the ball. Tannehill or Cam? I think you have to go with Tannehill, just seeing what he did in this offense and because of the uncertainty around Cam. But if you asked me a year or two ago, oh, it would have been Cam Newton. It would have been Cam Newton easily. And then finally, Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is all right. I think he is a starting quarterback. And I think there is a difference between a starting quarterback and a franchise quarterback. I think starting quarterbacks are, look, you can't dedicate the whole franchise to them, but look, you can build around them and you can win a Super Bowl with them. If Derek Carr is on the 49ers win that Super Bowl. They're not winning with Jimmy Garoppolo. They could win with Derek Carr. I think he's in the echelon. You're going to have to build a good team around him. But you got to stick with Ryan Tannehill over him because I have not seen, except for that one MVP-esque year, honestly, and that was a very great year from Derek Carr in 2016, I want to say. I've not seen enough from Derek Carr, and I've seen too many struggles from him. He checks down a lot to where I would just stick with Tannehill. But if you're asking me, I think they're the same level. I think Tannehill and Carr are the same level. 1 year, one could do a little better. The other year, one could do a little better. And they really need run game to have consistent success. But you'd rather stick with Ryan Tannehill over him. So, my final power rankings of what I would do. Number 1 is Matthew Stafford. And it's not going to happen. Okay, let me be clear. It's not going to happen. But if it happened, man, I'd buy my Super Bowl tickets. Okay, I probably wouldn't do that. Because I still have to see if Tannehill can win in the play, or if Stafford can win in the playoffs. And we don't know that. We have no idea about that. But I'd be hella intrigued. Number 2. And the thing with Stafford, by the way, I didn't mention, you have to trade a pick for him. Okay, at least. Okay, you may have to trade 2 first-round picks for him, but he's only 32 years old, 3 years, $27 million each. That is good money. That is less than Carson Wentz. That is less than Russell Wilson. That is less than Ben Roethlisberger. That is less than Brady will likely get. Less than Breeze will likely get. He's only going to be around 10th, 11th in terms of quarterbacks being paid. That's pretty good market price right there. Maybe even 12th or 13th by when it's all said and done, when all these guys get paid. I'm into that. I would love Matthew Stafford here. Even if it took a first and a third round pick, I would do it. First and a second, I would do it. For 2 firsts, okay, I'm out. But honestly, I'm telling you, man, I'm just letting you know. If you think the way Tannehill transitioned, how will Matthew Stafford transition? I'm telling you, how will Matthew Stafford transition? There has not been one question for the past decade, who's better, Matthew Stafford or Ryan Tannehill? There has not been one question until this past season. Wait a damn minute. Tannehill went from Miami to Tennessee. Did better because this is a better damn franchise. What the hell would Matthew Stafford do? The same thing, and even better. MVP Stafford would be a thing. It would be a thing. I'm telling you. Number 2. Either Brady or Tannehill. The championship pedigree of Tom Brady for 2 years. And by the way, people, in fact, I'll get into that in a moment. But who would I put as my number 2 option right now? And I think Tannehill will likely be for 4 years. I think we're looking more and more at likely 4-year extension for Tannehill. Or 2 years max. Or Brady, it could be a 1-year disaster. I'd roll the damn dice. Tom Brady's the GOAT, man. 6 Super Bowl rings. He would just add a different level of expectation on this team. He would require so much more from this team. It would be something to behold. Him and Vrabel would be a hell of a duo. And there's only one man who has the gun, okay? Only one man who has it locked that has shot and killed Patrick Mahomes in the entire NFL, and he's done it twice. Tom Brady won in the playoffs. He can beat Mahomes, man. He can do it. He's done it. And that was a year ago, and it will be 2 years ago by the time we face them again if we did. I'd roll the dice. And then Tannehill, number 3. Now, and then number 4 and number 5, if you really want to know. Number 4 would actually probably be Cam. Honestly, if he can throw, you'd have to see the medical, but if he could throw, number 4 would probably be Cam, and then number 5 would be, honestly, Rivers. I think Rivers is going to do fine, but I don't think we're going to go down that road. I feel like, and ultimately, let's get to the prediction part of this. It's either going to be Brady or Tannehill, period. That's the end of the discussion tonight. Now, a lot of people assume it's going to be Tannehill. The report came from Adam Schefter that it's still likely that Ryan Tannehill will return to the Tennessee Titans. But then Jeff Darlington, who has been close to this Tom Brady situation, who has been monitoring it closely, is reporting that the Titans are high on Brady's list. And the only reason they'd be high on his list is if he knew it was possible, if he knew there was mutual interest. And if we were to go down this road just as we did the Peyton Manning sweepstakes, we would do so quietly. You would wake up all of a sudden on free agency day and you would hear there's mutual interest. Brady's on his way to Nashville for a visit. And the fact that I haven't heard enough about the Tannehill extension. I keep hearing that it's likely and that they're talking and this and that. I think the Titans are weighing their options. But with John Robinson and Mike Vrabel, it is a match made in heaven. So what will happen? I believe, without a doubt, honestly, at this point, maybe not without a doubt, let me not say that. Let me say 90% of me believes that Tom Brady is leaving the New England Patriots. That he will either join the Tennessee Titans or the LA Chargers or maybe even the Oakland Raiders or a team we don't even know yet, but he's gone from New England. I believe truly that we are either 1 or 2 on his list between us and the LA Chargers. But I ultimately believe that we will bring back Ryan Tannehill. And I ultimately believe this will be done before free agency even begins on, I want to say, March 18, and the negotiations begin March 16. So that's my official prediction. We bring back Ryan Tannehill. Let's remove all of these options, and let's give my prediction. Free agent quarterback prediction. Ryan Tannehill, and I'll call it right now for, years. And I will say Spot Rack had it at $32 million a year, I think. And I think that's pretty fair. I'll put it at 30. I'll just put it at 30 flat. And we'll see. But 4 years, $120 million. In fact, I'll say 124. We'll make it $31 million a year. I think this is the likeliest option at this point. And we shall see. So, with that said, we'll move on to the chat. And next week, We will do running backs, and we also might do like the rest of the offense. And I don't think we're going to be doing much in terms of free agency, honestly. But running backs is something that we should certainly look at. So when we do running backs, it'll be centered around running backs and then some other options as well. And then there's going to be, this won't be a Tighten Up Thursday thing, but I'm definitely going to make a video on Mariota. Where is Mariota going to go? Speculating about Marcus Mariota because he's still my boy. I'm sorry, he's my boy. So we're still going to do a little discussion on that. But 4 years, $124 million for Ryan Tannehill. That is my prediction, and we will see. So with that said, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns for me, at me in the chat at SportsFan Entertainment, and if not, we will get out of here. I only do like 5 minutes of questions today because we're nearing 45 minutes already. We had one a while back that came from Steelers fan one who said at SportsFan Entertainment in 2016 when the Patriots won Super Bowl 51, LeGarrette Blount had a career year and had 16 rushing touchdowns, so you actually have a very good point. I will assume that you're talking about me talking about Brady elevating everyone, and exactly. LeGarrette Blount has a career year in 2016. What the hell? Could he do that for any other team in the league? Anyone else except for Tom Brady? No. Even Patrick Mahomes, he helps his running backs. He doesn't carry them to career years. Maybe Damian Williams, but I mean a career year for him is not even that impressive. He's not going to carry running back to, I think LeGarrette Blount had double-digit touchdowns that year, like easily, he may have like 15, 16 touchdowns that year. Oh, well over 1,000 yards? No, but the threat of Brady behind you, him setting you up for success, idling to runs, whatever he should be. We don't even set up Derrick Henry for success enough. Imagine we actually have a quarterback back there, and Tannehill did a good job of this year. But a guy like Brady, a savant, an elite NFL mind, who knows when to check to a run, what type of run to check to, whether it be a counter, whether it be a misdirection, in order to set Derrick Henry up for the most success consistently, so that way we don't have to see Derrick Henry get stopped in the backfield for a loss. Those you will see decrease. Those type of plays with Brady under the helm, it will set your team up for success on every single offensive play, damn near every single offensive play, and ultimately help you. You know you're going to win 12 games with Tom Brady, bro. The Patriots have had bad defenses, good wide receivers, bad wide receivers. They always win 12 games. Point blank, period. Don't matter. And it's a lot of Belichick, but last I checked, and Belichick did win 11 games with Matt Castle, went 3-1 with Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett. But last I checked, before Tom Brady walked in that building, Belichick was not a very good head coach in this league. Point blank, period. All right. We had another one that came from Rezi, who said at Sports for Entertainment, what's your early prediction for the number one seeds next year with this new playoff format? Well, I don't think the new playoff format has anything to do with number one seeds, but I'll save that. I need to see what these teams do in terms of free agency in the draft before I start predicting number one seeds next year. But you can look at my power rankings. My power rankings will come pretty close to my predictions, to be quite honest with you, if not being exactly what they are. Comic God said, as Sports Fan Entertainment, I think the reason that Ryan Tannehill switched agents is because the agency he selected, the CAA, also represents Derrick Henry and J-Rob and John Robinson, which will keep them on the same page. Perhaps, it is definitely a possibility. I think that isn't necessary. You don't need to have, players and general managers with the same agency. I feel like players are just more concerned about, especially in the NFL, this league that is so fickle, just way more concerned about whether the representation works for them. In the NBA, there are these coalitions and these alliances that take place between agencies and their players. NFL, I feel like it's just more like an individual thing. You pick the best representation / agency for you and your goals, and I don't think you really care about aligning with your teammates. It's just too fickle. Tannehill doesn't even know Derrick Henry's coming back. There's a very, distinct possibility which one of them leaves this team right now. I'd put it at 40%. I think it's likely they both come back, but I think there's a decent possibility that one of them does not. So I don't know why he would do that. I'm not buying into that. I feel like he just picked that agency because he just liked that agency, and something was not going well with the negotiations. Gary Sanderson says, when will you do mock drafts and scouting reports? Very, very, very soon. Now that I moved into the new place, I'm saving an hour every single day, so you'll be seeing those shortly. Probably mock drafts every Monday, scouting reports whenever I just finish them. War taxes as sports for entertainment. Do the Titans make a run for Everson Griffin? Here's the thing, like, I'm assuming no free agents. Until this extending free agent extension period is over, I'm assuming no free agents. We just have too many free agents we need to resign. We still have players we need to cut before we talk about these players that are gonna cost tens of millions of dollars. Like, why are we talking about, it's nice. Like, I'd love to. I mentioned Jadeveon Clowney a couple weeks ago. Like, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. I'll do it. It's fun. But realistically, I'm not expecting us to sign anyone of any significance. We don't have the cap. Unless we just say, you know what, forget Conklin, forget Henry, and forget Ryan. Then if we do that, then hell, we can bring in Everson Griffin and you can bring in Clowney. But they're not going to do that. They're going to re-sign some of these guys, and the cap is going to go down, and they still have to get their draft class, and they still have to sign some little free agents. Right? Don't forget about those little free agents, the little $5 million receiving running back that we need, that little, $6 million outside linebacking depth that we need, that little $4 million cornerback we could use. All these little free agents still have to be signed as well. So and we're going to need a backup quarterback. Backup quarterbacks in this league are expensive. Now, maybe you could say, okay, we need to draft one. But then that's one more need we need to fill in free agency. So I really don't believe we're going to go out and sign anyone worth more than $10 million a year. I don't see that. And Everson Griffin is worth that. We can talk about it for fun, but I just don't see us going after any free agent right now with more than $10 million a year. I just don't see it. Ardonis Scruggs says, as sports fan entertainment, do you think we have an offensive line to succeed with the stature of quarterback Brady, in reference to Brady? Tannehill's mobility saves so many drives. But again, that's what I'd be betting on. I'd be betting on a guy like Tom Brady to come in here for him to, him and Arthur Smith to really strategize and implement some of the things they do in New England. New England's offensive line is not better than our offensive line talent-wise, right? They have had Nate Solder, but he's gone now. They've had, who else was their really good tackle a while back? I can't remember his name. But other than that, they've had a bunch of mediocre offensive linemen come in and out of there, and it doesn't matter because Brady knows how to position himself, how to get the most out of his offensive linemen, how to get his protection no matter what. As long as it's not completely awful, he's going to get the best out of his offensive line. Imagine him getting the best out of this offensive line. Imagine him teaching Taylor Lewan what to do, Jack Conklin what to do, how to position himself and how to position themselves in order to have success consistently. I'm telling you, he would just elevate everyone on this team. It'd be a beautiful thing to see. Nick Holcomb had the stat for me. Yeah, LeGarrette Blount had 18 touchdowns that year. Like, insane. And has any running back had 18 touchdowns or anything close before or after that? Like, I can't tell you the last. Zeke Elliott had a crap ton. I want to say he only had 16 that one huge rookie year that he had. So it's just really ridiculous. And then we'll end on this. So Titans Universe asked my thoughts on the new playoff system. And, at first I liked it, and ultimately I like it enough. Like, it's going to be fun, don't get me wrong. Like, now Wild Card Saturday is definitely going to be fun. You're going to have your 3 games on Saturday and 3 games on Sunday, and who doesn't love that? But when you look at the teams that would have made the playoffs now under this new playoff format, and in case you don't know, the NFL has essentially proposed a new rule, and they're still waiting on the players to agree to it under the new CBA. There will be 7 playoff teams, 1 more wild card team in each conference. If you look at the teams that would have made the playoffs over the last 10 years with this new format, a lot of them stunk or just were not good enough or did not deserve to make the playoffs. This past year, it would have been the Rams, and I want to say the Steelers. The Rams, they're a good team. Do they deserve to make the playoffs? No. They do not deserve to make the playoffs. They went 9-7. Like, they weren't a bad team, but they just did not deserve to make the playoffs. And the Steelers, look, they had a nice season. They did a lot. Did they deserve to make the playoffs? No. And in fact, if the Titans would have lost week 17, they would have won 8-8 and still made the playoffs. So you would have had 2 8-8 teams. There is, to me, no excuse why any team should make the playoffs at 8-8 unless if you won your division. And even that pisses me off, but you have to keep that because you need to keep the reason why divisions are so important. If you remove that, the divisions are only teams that you face multiple times a year. It takes too much significance away from winning your division. Keep division winners making the playoffs, although we're going to have some weak, playoff teams occasionally. Keep that. But 8-8 wild cards, forget about it. That's ridiculous. No 8-8 team should make the playoffs. This is not the NBA, where the Orlando Magic are about to be 8 to 10 to maybe even 12 games under 500 and make the playoffs. That is what's about to go on in the NBA. Ridiculous. This is not the NBA where 41-41 will get you in the playoffs. No, this is the NFL. You got to win at least 9 games to make the playoffs. So what I would have done is I would have said, look, if this is a situation where 9-7 or 10-6, boom, congratulations, we can have a 7 seed. But if that 7 seed is going to be an 8-8 team, nope, sorry, you don't make it. And that will result in uneven playoffs. So in the AFC, there might be 7 teams. In the NFCs, there are 6 teams in this year, and the next year it might change. But we got to have winning teams in the playoffs, point blank, period. I can't tell you one 8-8 team over the last 20 years that deserved to make the playoffs. I cannot tell you one 8-8 team, truly. There's a lot of 8-8 teams that they catch fire late, and that's nice and that's cute. You went 8-8, dog. You did not deserve to make the playoffs, and that is ridiculous. There is no 8-8 team that deserves to make the playoffs. So I would have set the rule that, look, if you're 10-6 or 9-7, boom, that 7 wild card is available to the best among those teams or the tiebreaker winner among those teams. But if none of y'all can get to 9 wins, or in the case of the Steelers one year, 8-7-1, if y'all can't get a winning record, sorry, you're not making the playoffs. No playoffs for you. And even then, all those 9-7 teams, because look, the Titans would have made the playoffs twice over the last 10 years, okay? They would have made it in 2016, Marcus Mariota's second year with DeMarco Murray, Derrick Henry. That, to me, sure, that was like a playoff team. All right, okay, I can buy that. The 2011 team with Matt Hasselbeck, that team did not really deserve to make the playoffs. I mean, if you want to throw them in there, sure. But were they going to beat the 2nd seed? No, relax. It is nice that it's going to allow, the 10-6 Jets from a couple years ago, although they had Ryan Fitzpatrick at the helm, so who knows what they would have done at quarterback. But a team like the Jets to make the playoffs. Back in 2008, the 11-5 Patriots to make the playoffs. I like that. I like that we're 10-6 will now get you in the playoffs, and it should. But 8-8 teams in the playoffs, excuse me while I throw up. Excuse me while the 8-8 Oakland Raiders or the 8-8 Jacksonville Jaguars or the 8-8, Arizona Cardinals make the playoffs? For what? For being 8-8 Atlanta Falcons, 8-8 Carolina Panthers, for what? Okay, we've already sat through enough. With there only being 6 playoff teams in each conference, I have watched a lot of bad wild card games. And only 6 teams make the playoffs. I can tell you that Texans-Raiders playoff game where Derek Carr was hurt stunk. All those Texans-Bengals playoff games, all those, what are the matchups I can think about? Those Patriots shellackings in the division. There's already enough bad playoff games. We don't need more bad playoff games, and you're going to see more. You're going to see more playoff games. You're going to see more bad playoff games. The Buffalo Bills this year were a good team. Don't get me wrong. Did they provide a good playoff game? Were they even that good in the playoffs? No. And they won 10, 11 games. So, if anything, I would have stuck with it. But the number one thing I would have suggested is, look, if you make it at 10 or if 10-6 or 9-7, and 9-7 I would have put on the edge. But look, it has to be one of those. You can't go 8-8 and make the playoffs. That's ridiculous. If it's going to be an 8-8 team, forget about the 7th seed. And look, it's going to be unbalanced. The other 2 seed can complain. Why do we have to play while the 2 seed over there has to play or doesn't have to play? That's fine. They can complain. You can't have an 8-8 team in the playoffs. It's just ridiculous to me. So, I just had to rant on that, even on this Tighten Up Thursday. So with that said, that's going to do it for my Tighten Up Thursday this week as we discussed the quarterback options for the Titans in free agency and ultimately my prediction that they will re-sign Ryan Tannehill. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. See you all later.